there's this river of grace, right? That there's a river that carries mercy in it, that we've all gotten what we deserve, and we have karma coming our way. And for thousands of years, people have walked sometimes thousands of miles to come to the banks of this river, carrying the weight, of lifetimes of karma, and regrets and longings and, you know, mistakes that they couldn't undo, and
Some
they,
anger for a
yeah.
loved one that they can't even. Maybe the loved one has passed away, and they just dump it in the river, so to speak.
So in a sense, that's what they're hoping to do, right? That they can step into those waters with the hope of being purified and to be freed and to be liberated. Some want to be liberated from the bad karma, of their own misdeeds. Maybe they want to be freed from some disease. Then you have other people that have these kind of more deeper insights into it that, I have a mind that's been deeply imprinted, it's like a residue of karma, these inner patterns that keep us moving through cycles of pain, again and again, lifetime after lifetime. And they have this hope that by bathing in that river, I can become free of all that. Some want it because not just to be free, like in the sense of like, oh, now I don't have to deal with that, but like, because then I'll be able to give myself entirely to God. It's this mind that keeps distracting me from giving myself fully to God, realizing God within my own self, God within my own heart. So there's this faith that this river is more than just a river, but is like a current of this grace. It's said that it's the charnamrita, it's the water that's carrying the dust from the feet of Lord Vishnu, which has a sanctifying power. That I know, and I know many of our listeners know that when you bathe in that river, skeptics will say whatever they say, but those people that have faith, it's like every time you bathe in that river, you walk out like you're another person. You walk out
Yeah.
like you're 50 pounds lighter.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from New York City's Upper West Side, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily spiritual podcast. This is Kaustubha Das. I'm your host for the beginning of this show, and Raghunath will hopefully be popping in soon, but you never know. Mara's here though. How you doing, Mara?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Okay,
You're in
Raghunath's
Gothenburg,
teaching.
Sweden.
You're in Gothenburg, yeah,
Mhm.
and Raghunath. There's some confusion, huh?
Yeah, well, we're doing this yoga games, and we thought that the yoga classes were all 75 minutes, but neglected to realize that today's not a yoga class. Technically, it's a workshop, so it's a 3-hour program that he's doing.
A 3-hour tour.
Yeah, but as
You
soon as
don't know
he's
the
done with that,
subtleties
he's
of
coming
that.
straight to the podcast.
Raghunath would have gotten that, Mara, but it's 3-hour tour is anyway. I won't even go into it. But it's a television thing that he would have caught on to that. All right. How was this class going anyway?
Great. Yeah,
Nice people.
great people.
Swedes. Good Swedes.
Yes, very nice Swedes.
Nice. And how was your travel and how are you settling in and all that?
Travel was great. It went really smoothly. Everything was on time. All of that. We flew out of Boston, which was it's so much easier than going out of New York, and it was really quiet there. So that went well. And then the rest of his band arrives on Monday, I think, to Gothenburg.
Okay. Oh, and then they start that.
And then we switch from yoga over to hardcore.
Hardcore.
Yeah.
Which do you prefer, Mara? Yoga, hardcore? Tell the truth.
You know which one I prefer. I'd rather be doing the yoga.
All right.
But
Well, at least because the yoga is at better times of the day, right? What if the hardcore?
exactly. It's staying
yoga's
out late. Yeah. Yeah. It's the staying out late for the hardcore shows. That's a little tough.
Maybe, when I was a kid, they used to have matinees,
I could go for that.
All the kids could go, that way. Now they need matinees for the older people.
Exactly. Exactly. How are you doing in the city?
I'm doing great. Last night I went to the Bhakti Center and saw Radha Swami. He led
Oh,
kirtan,
wow.
and he was just gave me a merciful embrace, and life was good. It was just I don't know. I suppose sitting there next to him, and I was just feeling, for years we've been serving together there.
Mm.
And there's a family there. I've seen some people there that have been there, coming around for years and years, and some people that are new, and seeing that he's just like well, it's kind of today's subject, but he's just kind of like a river of grace himself, just always flowing, and he doesn't stop. So it was a real joy to be with him last night, and I'm rushing out of here after the show to go see him again. So that's really great.
Wow, that is great.
Yeah. And but I think you have an important announcement about tomorrow.
Yeah, there's no show tomorrow, but we'll do our Q&A day on Sunday at 6 a.m. Eastern time.
6 a.m. everyone.
Hmm.
All
Yeah,
right.
and if people have a question that they want answered, supporting members can post the questions under the questions for the host tab in our community chat, or they can email them to me at wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com.
Okay. And any other announcements on top of that?
Also, it's Tell a Friend Friday. So
Oh
check
yeah.
out the Sage Community platform and share our new video promoting Wisdom of the Sages. You can like it and share it on your social media to help spread the word about our amazing community.
Okay. There we go. And podcast too.
That's right.
Okay. So Mara, we have a nugget today, correct?
Yeah, from Anne
And
Lamott.
from Anne Lamont. She's a writer. And this is actually part two. I don't know if this is the first time we kind of did something like this, but we had a cliffhanger when we ended last time, and the subject was the mercy of the Ganga. What makes that water special, right? Hey, look who's here! There we go. Raghunath, you're here, just right in time for the nugget.
Greetings, friend.
There you are. You look all sporty today. You got your Adidas thing on.
Yeah, I'm doing a yoga festival. I'm
Yeah.
sporty.
Look at you. Okay.
How are you? Yeah, I just taught a 3-hour yoga class.
Good for you.
I'm feeling good.
Okay. Looking good. Looking good. You were saying when we ended last show, you're saying, I hope I don't miss the next show, which has to do with the Ganga, right? Remember that?
Yeah.
There are two big
descent of
questions
the
that
Ganga.
got brought up. One is like, why is the Ganga's water holy? Right? Like, why is it considered special?
Mm.
What is it that purifies about that water? Is it the water itself? Is there something inside the water?
Mm.
What's the deal with it? And then I think the other question that we have to deal with today is, and I think you brought this up yourself, was what is this idea about mercy, right? Because it's said like this is a river of grace, a river of mercy.
Mm.
But isn't the universe meant to be fair? And isn't like this kind of mercy, like why did that one person get the mercy and not the other? Is that unfair? Your question was kind of like that, right?
Yeah. It's
All right.
important. It's an important dilemma.
These are important issues,
Eh,
and we'll try to deal with them today. And there's a nugget here. Do you want to go ahead and read the nugget?
Sure. Good morning, everybody. Good to see you. Live from Gothenburg, Sweden. Okay. Hey, everybody. No. The nugget. I do not at all
This is from
understand the
Anne.
mystery of grace.
And Lamott. Start it over again.
This is from Anne Lamott. Who I don't know who that is. Do you?
She's a writer. She's kind of like a modern day writer. She
Okay.
writes,
I do not understand at all the mystery of grace, only that it meets us where we are, but does not leave us where it found us.
You want to do that again? Read that again.
I do not at all understand the mystery of grace, only that it meets us where we are, but does not leave us where it found us.
Any thoughts,
Ooh.
Raghunath? Get started.
Yeah.
Would you
Well,
like to
in
share?
a universe, we have this paradigm in bhakti that the universe is actually, it's a very, for people who don't want to admit a God, they'll just say, well, the universe arranged it. They're trying to be spiritual, but they don't want to be religious. So the
Right.
universal force, they'll say things like that. But, and that's true, there is a universal force. There is an energy pervading the world. But we take it a step further. We say it's not just an energy, but it is energy. It's an individual, like the supreme source, the supreme light, the energy emanating from the universe that's making everything happen is actually a being. And sometimes, and we are beings also. And sometimes we choose to give mercy. Like we'll see a fly. A lot of times we're in our busyness and I have to go out the window. I hear a fly buzzing on the window and I'll just be like, I got too many things to do to think about this fly. But sometimes I'll be like, I must save it. You know who's like this? My kids are like this. My kids will stop me. We're going for a beautiful walk and they're like, stop. There is a worm on the road struggling. And they'll just like I was like, oh God, you're going to touch that gross worm. Okay. and whatever. So they pick up that worm and they put it in the earth.
You're the one that trained them up to think this way, Raghunath.
I trained them up to think that way, and now
But they
become
think
so
more
callous.
that way than you do now.
Well, because I didn't think that way as a kid. I was taught to torture worms and put them on hooks. But yeah, you train a kid to be sensitive to living entities. So that worm, what did the worm deserve it? He was just flushed out of his hole by cruel chance. But the child decided to give that worm, and there's probably millions of worms suffering that didn't get that. The kids just get that grace, or gave that grace freely to that worm. And in one sense, the worm did nothing to deserve it. It was just struggling in material existence. And this is how sometimes the universe reciprocates with us. Sometimes it's generally, we find, it all traces back to God, but it's the mercy of the devotees. And that's why to worship the devotees, to love the devotees, to serve the devotees is the highest thing. You can't get anything. We say you can't get God except with guru. Well, what does that mean? People who are connected to God, they give mercy. They go out of their way to give mercy. They extend themselves. We think, here I am teaching a physical class based on handstands, based on, back bends, based on, opening your hips. But in my brain, I'm trying to think, how can I connect this to source? That's what we do as devotees. Everything we do, how can we connect this to source? And in that, the devotee is training themselves to be merciful, to be graceful. And sometimes it falls on a person that really is eager for it. And sometimes it falls on a person that couldn't care less. I'm sure you've stopped people on the street who couldn't care less about the Bhagavad Gita, but they said, who is this? They don't even respect you, perhaps. They might, but some people might not. Like, all right, yeah, I'll take one. And you're giving him the best gift you could ever give anybody, and he's reluctantly taking it, think he's doing you a favor, but actually you gave him the key to unlock the mysteries of the universe. So that's what grace is. You're going out of your way. You're risking your ego. You're risking you're sacrificing your time, your resources to give love of God. And in that process, and that's not saying you're Mr. Love of God, although you are. But but in fact, you get love of God by giving love of God. That's part of also the process. So grace falls, sometimes it's double coupon day at the supermarket. Or sometimes you're the 10,000th shopper here at Price Chopper. You get a free, grocery cart of groceries in 1 minute, whatever you can put in there. It's some type of grace by the supermarket, right? And so grace comes from ultimately the supreme individual, the universe in the form of Sri Krishna, is giving that grace to us.
Well, as you're saying, it's the Bible that says, blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy, right? So in practicing it, in extending it, it becomes extended to you, I guess, as well, right? Although that would begin to sound like, oh, then you're deserving it, right? It's an interesting concept. One thing I appreciate about what Anne Lamott wrote here, she said, I do not at all understand the mystery of grace. And I think even that's a good way to approach it right from the beginning. It's like, how does this work? But she says, only that it meets us where we are. And that's one of the most fundamental things about it, right? It's not like by definition, it's not that you qualify yourself for it, you climb up to it, but it comes down to you and reaches you and pulls you up, you know? So she said, it meets us where we are, but it does not leave us where we're found. And, you know, I think practically anyone that's interested in some kind of, if you believe that there is a, a munificent, a kind intelligence behind the universe, then
Benevolence.
benevolent, you know, creator and so on, then one factor within the universe that'll be necessary to be consistent with that idea is that there's fairness, right? Otherwise, it's like, well, who is this benevolent God if they're partial to some, you know,
Sure.
and they're kind to some and others get like a raw deal. And you know, we're saying that the world is fair, that there is this law of karma, and through that law of karma, we all get exactly what we deserve. It's very fair. But then, beyond that, on top of that, showing greater benevolence. Showing fairness is one aspect of benevolence, right? I'm not partial to you and impartial to you. But then beyond that, there's this drive, you know, from Krishna, and especially from Krishna's devotees, that they will work hard to give people more than what's fair, right? To give something beyond, to give someone something beyond what they deserve. So if out of love someone comes and rescues someone else, we don't say, hey, that's not fair. Like, let's say there was a prison and everybody was there because they deserved to be there. And then someone said, I want to go into the prison and I want to train these prisoners up so that they will improve in their character, they'll improve in their outlook in life, they'll understand life better, they'll understand what they did wrong better, that they'll be better prepared to contribute to society. And if this is effective, then even the warden and, you know, whatever board of people, you know, kind of judges them, will be quick to offer them parole because they've seen that they've actually changed. And I'm willing to bring that in and offer that to prisoners, you know, as much as I can. And so, you know, I go in there and maybe I was able to reach 100 prisoners. Then do we say that was unfair? No, we say that was beautiful, right? Let's see what we can do to get this to more people. But it's beyond what's fair. It's not below what's fair, right? It's like we don't want to fall short of fairness. We met the fairness, you know, threshold and then went beyond it and brought, you know, grace to other people. So we're talking about all of this. We're talking about in the context of the Ganges River, the Ganga, you know, for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. I mean,
this magic of grace is so beautiful, extended from God Himself. But I was just thinking about the mercy of the devotees of Krishna. You know, there's this. There is a lovely lady who was a devotee for, you know, many years, who I didn't see for years, and I had to go back and tell her, and I actually brought her to the roof of the Bhakti Center, and I publicly announced and introduced her to everybody. I won't mention her name, but she's wonderful. But you know her. She gave me a card to come to a vegetarian feast on the street, and I had a conversation. There was no good reason why she was doing that. She was not getting paid to stand on the street in a sari with a table of books. There was no good reason. Her reason for being on that corner made no material sense. If she was explaining it to her family members or explain it to her loved ones, they'd be like, well, why are you on the street? What are they paying you? You got this job where you're going out every day with books and they're not paying you. You're even selling the books. You don't get a commission of that. It doesn't make sense with the system that we've created, that you work hard and you get something back. But it works hard with a spiritual, what's the word I'm thinking? Some type of spiritual economy. Spiritual economy is you're doing this mercy work, this grace work, this bhakti work, and you're getting paid in the deepest ways. Matter of fact, sometimes, and I've seen this happen to devotees, and it's sad, but sometimes they feel like I'm not into Krishna anymore. It doesn't make sense. They get attracted to Maya. They make some offense. And for decades, they fall into Maya. And they even doubt what they were doing. Why did I do that? I feel like I wasted my time. I used to do kirtan. I used to distribute books on the street. You have no idea what you did. Sometimes not only our materialistic friends don't understand what mercy is, we don't even understand the mercy we've done for other people, all the hearts we've touched, all the trajectories that we've made. I had to tell that lady, I said, by your mercy, you changed the direction of my entire life. And I was in a band, and our band reached tens of thousands of people. We traveled all over the world. So many people got inspired by spirituality because you were merciful to me. And it's a very, very powerful thing, mercy. We don't do anything. I didn't deserve it. I was just walking down the street. I didn't deserve anything. But she gave me some mercy. And because of that, my job now is to always be in debt to the merciful, right? Because we want to pay back the merciful and how do we do that? You pay it first. You can thank those people. And in my heart of hearts, I have deep love for all the people that got me into bhakti, but I want to pay it forward. I want to do a podcast like this. This is why you and me do the podcast, you know? We were just saying the other day, men our age are talking about their careers going, yo, we're killing it. We're killing it. We're not killing anything. We're not killing it. Financially, we're not killing it. But you know what? We feel some mercy happening. And you know, somehow we get taken care of. Krishna takes care of us. You know, and maybe if I was a little more financially astute, I'd be killing it. But I really feel like I have a debt to pay back. Because I feel like my life has changed. My life has substance. My life has a framework of how to view reality that is so beneficial, makes me so joyful, changes the way I wake up in the morning. And I'm grateful. Thank you. I'm thanking. I'm trying to pay it forward.
Yeah. Well, I think you're getting to something there with, the nature of grace or the nature of mercy, we're talking about it in relation to the Ganges River, which is like seen as this, like, there's this river of grace, right? That there's a river that carries mercy in it, that we've all gotten what we deserve, and we have karma coming our way. And for thousands of years, people have walked sometimes thousands of miles to come to the banks of this river, carrying the weight, of lifetimes of karma, and regrets and longings and, mistakes that they couldn't undo, and they
anger for a loved one that they can't even, maybe the loved one has passed away, and they just dump it in the river, so to speak.
So in a sense, that's what they're hoping to do, right? That they can step into those waters with the hope of being purified and to be freed and to be liberated. Some want to be liberated from the bad karma, of their own misdeeds. Maybe they want to be freed from some disease. Then you have other people that have these kind of more deeper insights into it, that, I have a mind that's been deeply imprinted, it's like a residue of karma, these inner patterns that keep us moving through cycles of pain, again and again, lifetime after lifetime. And they have this hope that by bathing in that river, I can become free of all that. Some want it because not just to be free, like in the sense of like, oh, now I don't have to deal with that, but like, because then I'll be able to give myself entirely to God. It's this mind that keeps distracting me from giving myself fully to God, realizing God within my own self, God within my own heart. So there's this faith that this river is more than just a river, but is like a current of this grace. It's said that it's the Charnamrita, it's the water that's carrying the dust from the feet of Lord Vishnu, which has a sanctifying power. That I know, and I know many of our people, of our listeners know, that when you bathe in that river, skeptics will say whatever they say, but those people that have faith, it's like every time you bathe in that river, you walk out like you're another person. You walk out
Yeah.
like you're 50 pounds lighter, you know?
Mara, what do you think? She's nodding yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it's real. It's
yeah.
real. And to answer the first part of the question, what makes it sacred? It's from the spiritual world. It's not of this world. We can't even get our head wrapped around that. We think, well, of course it's from this world. It comes from a spring source. There's a fountainhead there, way at the top of the Himalayas. No. This is something otherworldly. It's actually comes down through the spiritual realm,
Yeah.
takes a pit stop on Lord Shiva's head, and then breaks into the Jati branches, and then comes and manifests on this planet. It manifests throughout the three worlds, and then it goes to the lower planets as it
Yeah.
enters the Bay of Bengal. They say it maintains. It doesn't merge with other waters. It stays together. And in the same way it mystically dropped here, it mystically drops to lower realms,
Mm.
and it gives mercy to other realms. Now, what's the source of that mercy? Well, you could say Bhagiratha was the source of that mercy. He called the Ganga to descend. But then you could say, well, she's filled with mercy. What makes her merciful? She's from Vaikuntha. She's from the spiritual realm. Therefore, Lord Vishnu is filled with mercy. You could say it touches Lord Shiva's crown. So it's Shiva has got the mercy. It manifests in Gomukh, right? And so therefore, Gomukh is the most merciful place. So mercy, in one sense, you can always trace it back to God, but it manifests through the holy places and the holy people and the devas and the devis who are working in accordance with the service of Lord Vishnu.
You know, that's such an interesting way to phrase it, is that in one sense you can always trace it back to Krishna, but in another sense, it's the devotees of Krishna that really represent that grace more than anyone.
Mm.
And so let's read a few verses here. And I think Ganga's going to have this question. It's the first thing that we're going to read, or it's the first or second thing. She's going to say, all these people are going to come and unload all their bad karma on me. How am I going to deal with that? So she has two big concerns. One is like, I come down with a lot of force. What's going to be able to sustain the force? And two is, I'm going to take on the sins of countless people for countless years. How's that going to work? How am I going to bear all of that? So why don't we jump in and read some of these verses and then get deeper into this conversation?
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiraya. Before we start in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is every means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshu vajreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati utamashloke bhakti bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in class in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated. And loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmadatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 9, Text 4.
Yeah, and let's
You know what I was thinking, Kaustubha? Well, of course, while I was saying those prayers, I was thinking of something else. But I was thinking that our whole philosophy and mindset is that of we are looking for the mercy. We are like our lenses are like, where's the mercy? Where's the mercy? You know, like we are mercy hounds, like looking for mercy. And even if something goes wrong, we think, well, that's Krishna's mercy. We are seeing mercy. We're training our minds to see the world as not a place, not Mritaloka, the planet of death, but actually like this world for a devotee is the land of mercy. It's the land where every opportunity gives us a chance to grow, evolve, and reconnect.
It's exactly what you're saying, Raghunath. We are not, as bhakti yogis, our faith is not that by our power we will become liberated. right?
Yeah, right.
What we're really saying is, I got myself in a mess that I deserve, and it is so complicated and so intricate, and it runs so deep, and its roots go so far down into the ground that I'm pretty helpless. Let me do all that I can to find if there's any loophole out of here, right? Like, let me search for that. And so, like, going back to that analogy of like a prison, yeah, the prison is fair, right? Everybody got exactly what they deserved in there. Someone comes in and says, I want to go beyond what's fair, give people more than what's fair, gives at least some people the opportunity to get what's beyond fair. You're very fortunate if somehow you receive that. But what if you're a prisoner that's saying, I'm looking for that program. I want to be reformed.
Right.
Like,
What can I do? What can I
you're going to get
change
pushed right
inside
to
of
the
me?
front of the yeah, you're going to get pushed right to the front of the line. Most prisoners, they'd be like, I don't want to hear this talk. I don't want to, it's like, no, no,
Sure.
no, I'm looking exactly for that. Then you're demonstrating to the warden and so on that you truly want to be reformed. You're practically out of the prison already. Like, you're searching for that grace. And if you can get connected to somewhere where that grace is flowing in a powerful way, then that flow of grace was available to all the prisoners, but you took it.
Mm.
You went out and became receptive to it. So yeah, in one sense, what we are is we are looking for the grace. We're looking for the grace in the form of the devotee. We're looking for the grace flowing through the Bhagavatam. We're looking for the grace flowing through the holy place, through the holy river.
What
Through
a
the kirtan.
what a superpower too. Like,
Yeah.
if you can teach that to someone, if you can live that, and if you can give that, it becomes a superpower that you can gift to somebody else. And
Well,
you see these devotees
yeah.
who, these devotees in these countries that have gone through hell, where it's illegal to speak of anything but the state religion, or where it's criminal to chant the holy name, to practice what we practice. I mean, we have our first world problems here. Like, we're out of soy milk. The oat milk's finished. Who finished the end of the oat milk? But like, where people are like struggling and the world is collapsing around them, but they have this bhakti. And somehow, oh my God. I mean, just think of our nice Tulsi and her family who's been on the show. They were getting bombed in Lebanon. And through all that hell, they were keeping Krishna at the center. Doesn't mean the bomb stopped dropping. It doesn't even mean the bomb might not have hit them, but their consciousness throughout it. It's not like they're claiming to be pure devotees, but keeping Krishna at the center is the safest thing they can do for their anxiety, for any material anxiety, but for also their soul. For their soul feels safe and comfortable, even in the jaws of death, so to speak. They say we're like cats or kittens. And when the mother comes at the cat and lifts it by the nape of death, that kitten feels much different than the mouse feels. Death is going to come for everybody. Danger is going to come for everybody. But when the kitten comes for the rat is feeling, this is horrible. I'm losing everything. But the kitten feels safe. And so when even danger comes for the devotees, they double down on their bhakti. And they say, oh, Krishna, it's only you in my life. And we see this again and again in the Bhagavatam. Draupadi doubles down. Gajendra doubles down. Parikit double. They're all doubling down. Ambarish doubles down. It's all the stories of people in great distress. And they're all transcending it, Well,
and this is that.
Go on.
I was going to say exactly what you said. What you opened up with there is it goes right to Krishna's promise right towards the end of the Bhagavad Gita. Like, if you go to 1857, he says, in all activities just depend upon me, right? You got yourself in a complicated situation. You got your karma. You got what you deserved, and it's tricky, and it causes so much suffering. But as you go through it, just depend on me. I'm like this flowing river of grace. He says, and always work under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. By bringing our consciousness to him, we receive it. He says, if you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. Prasadat, right? By my grace. In other words, you will get an opportunity to kind of like transcend your own karma, in a special way. So why don't we read like these next three verses, and I think they're going to give us some clues.
Okay. Mother Ganga replied, "When I fall from the sky to the surface of the planet Earth, the water will certainly be very forceful. Who will sustain that force? If I am not sustained, I shall pierce the surface of the earth and go down to Rasatala and Patala area of the universe."
Okay, so that was her first concern. It's practical concern.
Practical concern. I might wreck you.
Yeah.
O
And
king,
then
I do not.
this is very get things. These next two verses are very interesting.
O king, I do not wish to go down to the planet Earth, for there the people in general will bathe in my water to cleanse themselves of the reactions of their sinful deeds. So she understands that people on Earth are low,
Yeah.
and they're just going to use me to get rid of their sins.
Mhm.
When all these sinful reactions accumulate in me, how shall I become free from them? You must consider this very carefully. So people do go to the bathe in the Ganga for bhakti, but people also bathe in the Ganga for wealth, for bhukti, right? For mukti, to cleanse themselves of sins, to undo bad karma, for the crimes they've committed. There's all different reasons. And that cleansing, the residue goes into the Ganga. Very valid question, Mother Ganga.
Valid question. And just to give a little context, Bhagiratha, he's on a mercy mission, actually, right? He's a multi-generational mercy mission. It's like, I think this is third generation now, where there was a whole slew of his uncles.
Great uncles.
They died, and they're lying there in a pile of ashes, and they've been told by Kapil Dev that the only thing that can help them is the water of the Ganges. And so, but he had no access to it. And so that was Ansuman that he did austerities to bring the Ganga down. He failed. He had a son. He tried to do it, failed. Now Bhagirati is trying to do it, and he's succeeding, but Ganga is placing these questions. And this very interesting question, you want me to purify all of your forefathers of all of their bad karma. You want me to flow down here and start relieving everyone of their bad karma. But what do I look like? Do you think I'm like this, I can handle all that? And so how will it be handled? Bhagirata has an answer. And this answer tells us a lot about, to answer the question of why is the Ganges purifying? This seems like it's too simple, or it doesn't make sense that I pour this water on these ashes and somehow they're benefited. Why should they be benefited? What did they do to deserve it? Why should they get something that others don't get? Which goes to the question that we're asking about mercy. And two, what is it about this water that is so purifying? And so we get to hear something about that from Bhagirata now.
By the way, it does pose a good question that I have, which is, why pour water on the ashes? Is the soul still connected? Is the subtle body and the soul still connected to those ashes? When we put the ashes in the Ganga, right? What does the ashes have to do with it? The ashes was just their body that died.
Still some connection.
Yeah, or is it symbolic? I'm putting the ashes in the Ganga, therefore, what happens if you were not burned, not cremated?
Then what do you do?
Then what do you do? Does your forefathers still get benefit if you go to the Ganga and pray for the? It brings up more questions. I will say, the Vedic canon of literature answers lots of questions. That doesn't mean all your questions are necessarily answered.
Well, let's work on this one.
I did hear Sadhaputta tell me.
Yeah.
If I can, Sadhaputta was a famous devotee physicist from Cornell, and he was one of my heroes. If you really want to have some fun, YouTube search Sadaputa, Sadhaputta Das, or Sadhaputta Prabhu, because his classes are great. And I could have sworn, and you can correct me, someone can correct me, that they said that it descended through the Sushumna of the universe. That's how Ganga came down. And so there's like in the same way you cannot perceive different channels of this body, like when a person practices acupuncture or some type of kundalini, there's there's a subtle body going on. And when we say subtle body, we don't mean, like yogic anatomy has really got nothing to do with the lungs and the muscle groups. It's got to do with this yogic anatomy you can't perceive with the crude eye. So there's a crude organs, but then there's subtle organs that we can't perceive, they say. And the universe also similarly has a body like that as well. And that's how the Ganga descends mystically. Right.
Okay.
Text
Bhagirath's answer to
6.
Ganga's question. I don't think I can handle everyone's bad karma.
He's gonna try to convince her. Yes, you can. I think you can do this, Ganga.
It's like you're going to get some help. That's his message.
It's like when I cut my nose that day, and the nurse and the doctor was looking at me, and she's like, looks at me. She's like, I can't do this. This is your face. He's like, you're going to have a scar all over your face. You need to go to a plastic surgeon. I held her hand and I said, Doctor, I think you can do this. Use a stitch. I'm okay. I believe in you.
You should go back
Bhagirath is
and
going
see
to.
that doctor.
I did. And I said, you did a great job. Those who are saintly because of devotional service.
So Bhagirath is answering now.
Yeah. Those who are saintly because of devotional service and are therefore in the renounced order, free from material desires, and who are pure devotees, expert in following the regulative principles mentioned in the Vedas, are always glorious and pure in behavior and are able to deliver all fallen souls. When such pure devotees bathe in your water, the sinful reactions accumulated from other people will certainly be counteracted. For such devotees always keep in the core of their hearts the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who can vanquish all sinful reactions. See, this is why when I go to the Ganga, I bathe downstream from Kaustubha.
Oh,
See, when he's thinking of Lord Krishna in the heart, and then I'm getting all that Ganga water. You got to be careful who's upstream from you, Kaustubha.
Well, in one sense, it's all like electricity, right? It doesn't matter if you're upstream or downstream in one sense. There's a clue given, right? He's saying that when saintly people bathe in this river, they are going to counteract the bad karma. They've got some kind of power, but the source of that power is revealed. And it says why? Because they always keep in the core of their hearts the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who here is referred to by the name Agabit, right? It does. This verse does a little something with the Sanskrit. It says Harantyagam tenga sangat teshvaste hyagabit tari. That it says that there's this problem, this agham, the reactions of sinful life. Everybody's pouring them into her water. And he says, but these great souls, they've got Agabit in their heart. They've got Krishna in their heart, who is Agabit, who destroys, vanquishes, Aga, which, basically means one's suffering, one's bad karma, one's sins, like that, however you want to describe it. So it's like they are all these like little, a broader picture is being drawn out for us here. But it's like this universe is a universe that's ruled by justice. There are laws in this universe, and you just can't get around them. So everybody's getting exactly what they deserve. But there's this higher principle from without the realm of justice, outside of from the realm of love, right? We've discussed in some previous classes that if you take love of God or prema, if you take that element, when it's pointed towards God, when the heart that has been softened by prema is pointing to God, when its focus is on God, we call it prema, we call it love. And if you take that same heart and you turn it around and direct it towards all the people in this world, the suffering people of this world, that very same love manifests as what we call compassion, or you can call it grace or mercy. And so it's saying that although this is a big prison house, although this is a big place of justice, it's just a big justice department in one sense, right? Um, there, by the power of love, by the force of love, people want to come in and do what they can to relieve that suffering. And so Krishna does it himself, right? He comes in many avatars and so on, and particularly in the most merciful avatars of, Krishna coming as Krishna and displaying his pastimes is an act of mercy that nobody here deserves, but he does it out of love, out of grace, out of compassion, out of mercy. Mahaprabhu, when he comes to Sri Chaitanya, still more merciful. And it's where he's just like, take the highest thing, even though you've done nothing to deserve it. Have you been a great yogi? Have you counteracted this through jnana? Have you, no, I haven't done any of those things. Still, I want to give it to you.
Just a bunch of punks on the Lower East Side of New York City. That's all I've done.
You
Okay,
the
you get
highest
it.
stuff.
Everybody
Yeah.
gets it.
Everybody's getting it.
I remember
And-
Kaustubha taught me how to sell books once. I was like, how do you approach people selling books? It was either you or one of your friends. I was like, well, we do a thing where people come in, say, are you from out of town? They say, yeah, I am. Okay, then you get one. And he gives them a Bhagavad Gita and he shakes their hand. And I was like, well, what if they say if they're not not out of town? No, I live here.
Same thing.
Oh, you're from here? Okay, then you get one. It's like everybody gets one. Mercy goes to everybody.
Yeah. But and so there's this one manifestation of this grace is the water of the Ganges, which is carrying the dust of Krishna's feet, which is non-different from Krishna, which is a manifestation of Krishna's mercy. But even beyond that, there's this idea that, again, over the course of thousands and thousands of years, thousands and thousands of great souls who are carrying Krishna in their heart go into that water, and they nullify that bad karma. They counteract it. So what is the purifying element? Ultimately, it's Krishna, because they have Krishna in their heart. Whether it's Krishna's dust flowing through the water, whether it's Krishna in the heart. In the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna turns to Krishna and starts to glorify him. And he says, it's not just me that's saying this, but all the great sages have said, and he goes right down the list, A-list sages, right? Devala has said this,
Sita
Sita
Devala.
says this, Vyas himself has said this, everybody's saying this, you're telling me right now. But he says, Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, you are the supreme Brahman, you are the ultimate principle, the absolute truth, that from which everything comes. Param Dhamma, you are the ultimate abode of truth. And then he says, what is it? Pavitram Paramam Bhavam. That you are the supreme purifier, Pavitram Paramam, right? You are of all things that can purify, you are that which can purify the most impure. And of course, there's that famous verse, Om Apavitra Pavitro Va Sarvavastangatopi Va Yat Smaret. It's so interesting, right? Yat Smaret, just by remembering Yat Smaret Pundarikaksha, Krishna, who has beautiful eyes like lotus petals. Sa Bhyabhayantara Suchi, that you become purified. You're inside and outside, you become purified. Simply by bringing your mind to Krishna, because Krishna is the Pavitram Paramam, the ultimate purifier. By bringing your mind to Krishna, your mind becomes purified. By engaging your body, really we hear from Bhagavatam, what is the goal of all of this? It's not exactly liberation. It's Anta Narayana Smriti, that by the end of this life, we've learned to focus our consciousness on Krishna. And we could say, well, hold it, but Bhagirati's forefathers didn't do that, right? They didn't do it, so why should they get it? But it's just like they're on this mission of mercy. We don't care. We want to help, and we can bring you this purifier in the form of the Ganges water. But it's such an interesting idea that whatever's carrying Krishna becomes a purifier, and therefore can become a loophole, can become a manifestation of Krishna's grace or Krishna's mercy. We can all do that, right?
Yeah.
We can all become, in a sense, a Ganges river ourselves.
A magical stone, a lucky,
touchstone.
a talisman that a magic wand. It's true. The devotees become like the magic wand. What do you do with all those sins that's pure, that are clogging up the Ganga, so to speak? The pure devotees bathe there. And the point is, when you add a pure devotee, when you add a devotee to your life, when you add Krishna to your life, when you add the paraphernalia of Krishna to your life, to your home, to your bad karma, to your good days, to whatever you're going through in this, you move into a new house, you buy a new car. And you see that when someone buys a new car in India, what do? They do a whole puja to the car to invoke auspiciousness.
Yeah.
When someone moves into a new house, when you're moving into a new apartment, invite the devotees to your house to sing and chant, and then you make them prasad, offer that food with love to a picture of Krishna. You distribute that prasad, and all of a sudden, whatever crazy karma happened in that apartment, and trust me, there's crazy stuff that happened into the house that you just moved into.
Trust me.
There's some crazy stuff
Some
that went in
dark
that
stuff.
house. You might be Mother Teresa, but whoever lived in that house was not, perhaps. And you hear and chant, you invite Krishna to that house. And then that inauspicious place, or even a brand new place, it becomes more than a brand new place, more than a nice place. It becomes a transcendental place. Is Henry on the show today? Henry's got to invite the devotees to his house to hear and chant. Invite him over, Henry. Invite him over. Just say, you know what? I want to do a special prasad distribution where you invite the devotees over to sing. They sing, you distribute prasad, and it makes it auspicious. It is a way to change your destiny in the most powerful way by becoming graceful, full of grace. And then it attracts grace.
There you go. You know, in the commentary here, Prabhupada, he says that the Ganges is available to everyone to bathe in it. And he says, therefore, not only will sinful persons bathe in the Ganges water, but in Haridwar and other holy places where the Ganges flows, saintly persons and devotees will also bathe in the waters of the Ganges. Devotees and saintly persons advanced in the renounced order can deliver even the Ganges. And then he quotes his verse from earlier in the Bhagavatam, 1:13:10, which is Yudhishthira speaking to Vidura, who had just come back from Haridwar, right? And he says to him, devotees like your good self are verily holy places personified. You're like a holy river yourself.
Yeah.
He says, because you carry the personality of God within your heart. He said the exact same thing. Therefore, you turn all places into places of pilgrimage. You carry that potency.
It's that same thing we said earlier. It's like, who's the fountainhead of this mercy? Who's the fountainhead of this grace? Is the devotees getting it from the river, but the river's getting it from the devotees. Ultimately, God is behind it all.
We all know people like you and I know. I think before you got here, I was saying, I got to be with Raghunath Swami last night. You take these people that are carrying Krishna in their heart, that are always thinking of Krishna, their minds are absorbed in Krishna. They become like a Ganges river, and they have this power, where they're not just walking through the world, but they're purifying the world as they walk through it. They're bringing people, everybody, you just have to scroll down your phone screen or your computer screen, and you're going to find all kind of people, famous people, popular people, people that aren't famous, and they're just taking your mind deeper into the rabbit hole of material existence. They're offering you something that's going to help you forget Krishna.
Let's not even call it a rabbit's hole. Let's use an analogy like a hornet nest.
Okay,
because the hornets also dig deep holes, but rabbits generally, if you reach down and grab the rabbit, they're not going to even fight back that much. They don't have sharp teeth. But a hornet's nest, you go down that hornet's nest of material existence, you get the whole gang coming after you.
Okay. But my point is that there are certain people in this world that are walking through this world, and they're bringing people's minds to Krishna wherever they go, through their words, through their actions, through their prayers. We should really appreciate that. And that person is a walking holy place. That person carries that, pavitram paramam, the supreme purifier they're carrying in their heart, and is flowing through them, flowing through the words, flowing through their actions. By coming in contact with them, it's more than bathing in the Ganges River. You know, again, the whole point is that we remember God, that our mind somehow goes back. That's just, the whole world is designed just for that, you know, just to bring our mind back to that source of all of our, of all benediction, you know, that sustains us and that nourishes us and gives us life. The whole point is just to get our mind going back there, and we're living in a world that's designed in so many ways to forget. What grace it is that there's a river like the Ganges that can bring our mind back, and that there are people that are even more powerful. It's said that when you go to a holy place, you don't go there just to bathe in the river. You go there to seek out those people that are carrying Krishna within their heart. They are very, very powerful forms of grace.
Very good, Mr. Kaustubha.
All right, Raghu, we got to end quick today. I gotta run off.
Man, you're getting all the mercy.
I'm trying to go get it. I'm gonna go
Trying to go
it.
get the mercy. Can you please offer my obeisances to
I
Maharaj?
will certainly do that. Mara, do we
Okay.
have any takeaways?
Yeah. Can I have the microphone? Train your kids to be sensitive to all beings.
That
Yeah,
worms
yeah.
included.
Even worms.
In extending grace, you receive grace.
That's right.
The law of karma is fair, and grace is beyond fair.
It's beyond
I
fair,
like it.
Raghu.
I like it.
Always remember our debt to those who gave us mercy and pay it forward.
Mm-hmm.
Mercy manifests in holy places and people.
Both.
Mercy.
We're looking for the grace.
We're looking for the grace.
Keeping Krishna at the center is the safest thing materially and spiritually.
Yeah.
Will and grace. I just put that two together. Will and grace. I just did that.
Okay.
Remember Krishna and you become purified.
You sure do.
Seek out those who carry God in their heart.
Search them out. Capture them. Bring them home.
And Bhagiratha is on a multi-generational mercy mission.
That's right. Multi-generational
mission.
mercy missions.
Yeah.
We all are.
That's pretty.
You know,
It's pretty cool.
not
It's
not
pretty
a
cool that
birthday
you're
minute.
concerned about your ancestors. Come on. Oftentimes, we're not concerned about people right in our household. Thanks for joining us, everybody. I'm going to be on the road. Not at the show. Is there a show tomorrow, Miss Mayor? No show tomorrow.
6
6 a.m. on Sunday, New York time. We're going to be live in Sweden.
Oh, you know, that's going to be Ram Navami, the parents' day of Lord
Yeah.
Ram.
Oh, let's
Maybe
do some
we ought to do
Ram
that instead
stuff.
of Q&A.
All right, we'll tell some Ram stories. I like that. I like that.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Beautiful day. You know, I've been eating all day. It's 4 o'clock here.
Good for you, Ram. I got to run.
Okay, I got to run too. What are you doing today?
I'm going to go see Raghunath right now.
Aww.
All right.
All right, everybody. Beautiful day, beautiful day. I'm sorry I couldn't say hello to everybody. Who was here?
Yeah, now if you want, but I got to run.
All right. Hi, everybody. Hi, Jai Branson. Noelini Kuchlani. Gayatri's here. Gayatri, I'm here in your neck of the woods. Ish. He's like, I'm not. Huta, Henry's here. We're coming to your house to chant, Henry. Carlos, Laura Wright, Sherry Yanak, Careful in the Gunga, Timothy Taka, Tom Branson, Gopal Nandini. Fireflies is here. Yvette Elizabeth, David Charles Wilson, fill him up. Narayani G, Chief Pags, Marissa, Florida. Marina Belen, Harry Bowl to you. Kim O'Reilly, Tinika, Stephanie Ann, Chapu G. The Bright Lights, good morning. Joshua, good morning. Don Cayley, Harry Bowl to you. Well, I was about to call you, Don Cayley. Belita David Dossi. Thanks, everybody. Sorry for getting everybody. Beautiful day, every beautiful day.